Welcome to Life Stories, where real emotions and unforgettable journeys come to life. Today's story is one of sacrifice, heartbreak, and redemption. A mother who gave everything to raise her son, only to be denied at his proudest moment. But the truth has a way of rising, even when buried deep. What happens when love is forgotten and then remembered in the most unexpected way? Subscribe now to begin today's powerful story of resilience, forgiveness, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. Let's begin. The Jefferson Auditorium was alive with energy. Families huddled together in the plush seats, proudly clutching bouquets and phones, ready to capture one of the most important milestones in their loved ones' lives. I stood near the back for a moment, letting the atmosphere wash over me. The hum of joyful chatter, the distant music of the processional rehearsal, it all blurred into a single, surreal moment. I glanced down at my dress, the nicest I owned. It wasn't expensive, but I had picked it out months ago just for this day. A soft lavender, modest and elegant, something I thought might bring out the youth I no longer possessed. I patted it nervously, then checked my reflection in a compact mirror, tucking back a stray gray hair. My hands trembled slightly, a betrayal of the calm face I tried to wear. At 65, the lines on my face told a story no diploma ever could. Years of rising before the sun to clean offices, 8-hour shifts as a clinic receptionist, then nights spent waiting tables, all while raising my son alone. Every wrinkle around my eyes had been carved by long hours, worry, and perseverance, and yet today they crinkled not from stress, but from pride. "Mrs. Parker, would you like some water?" a young usher asked, noticing my unease. I smiled at her kind eyes. "No, thank you, sweetheart. This is a big day. A big day indeed. One that had taken nearly 3 decades of sacrifice to reach." When Daniel was born, I made myself a quiet promise. He would have the chances I never had. His father, Mark, left us when Daniel was 5, abandoning us with nothing but overdue bills and broken promises. I still remember sitting at our tiny kitchen table after Daniel went to sleep that night, trying to make sense of how I would keep the lights on, let alone raise a child alone. That was the night I decided, no matter what it took, my son would have a better life. So I took on a second job, then a third. The years blurred into a routine of exhaustion, cleaning office buildings at dawn, working reception at the local clinic during the day, and serving food at a diner each night. Sleep became a distant luxury. But no matter how drained I was, I made sure I was home with Daniel in the evenings, cooking, helping with his science projects, practicing spelling words. And he thrived. My sweet boy, so smart, so kind. He'd patch up his teddy bears and announce he'd be a doctor. One day. When he got accepted into Johnsburg Medical School, I cried for hours. Tears of joy, pride, and perhaps a little relief. I took on even more hours then, stretching my aching back and swollen feet past their limits, just to send him a bit more each month. And now here we were. Graduation day. The culmination of everything. I took my seat near the front as the ceremony began, and the graduates filed in, a wave of black caps and gowns. I scanned the crowd, searching. Then I saw him, Daniel, tall and poised, his expression serious. He looked so much like his father, but with softer eyes. My heart swelled. "We did it," I whispered to myself. "You did it, baby." I barely heard the dean's words. My eyes remained on Daniel, recalling the nights he had fevered in my arms, the laughter over burnt pancakes on Saturday mornings, the makeshift lab we built on our kitchen table. My chest tightened, and I felt the familiar sting of tears. After the ceremony, I pushed through the crowd, eager to find him. When I finally spotted Daniel, he stood surrounded by well-dressed young people and their equally well-dressed parents. Nervously, I waved. Our eyes met. For a split second, I expected the warm smile I'd known all my life, but instead what I saw chilled me. His smile was restrained. Polite. Almost embarrassed. I hesitated but moved forward anyway. "Daniel," I called, reaching out to embrace him. He stepped back, just slightly. "Mom, hi, you made it." Something was off. The warmth in his voice was gone. Then a woman joined us, tall, elegant, and dressed in a sleek navy blue dress that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She placed a manicured hand on Daniel's arm and smiled with a practiced charm. Darling, she said, aren't you going to introduce me to your friends? Daniel's face lit up in a way it hadn't when he saw me. Everyone, he announced proudly. This is Cynthia, my mother. I froze. Just like that, my entire world tilted. This woman, this stranger, was now his mother? Someone asked, and you are. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Daniel turned quickly, casually, as if I were no more than an old neighbor dropping by. Oh, this is Linda, a family friend. She's been very supportive. Family friend? After 28 years? I felt like the floor had fallen out from under me. But somewhere in the free fall of that moment, something inside me solidified. No, not today. Not after everything. I stood up straighter, lifted my chin, and with a voice steadier than I expected, I said, Actually, I have something important to say. Actually, I repeated, louder this time, I'm Daniel's mother, his biological mother. The chatter around us dimmed like someone had turned a dial. The elegant woman, Cynthia, froze. Daniel's friends exchanged puzzled glances. Cynthia's hand slipped off his arm, her practiced smile faltering just slightly. Daniel's face turned pale. Linda, he said through gritted teeth, maybe we should talk privately. I think we're well past privacy, don't you? I replied. My voice was calm, but my heart pounded. I've worked 3 jobs since the day you were accepted into medical school. My hands are rough, my back bent from years of cleaning offices and serving food, but I made sure you never went without, and I never missed a parent-teacher conference, never missed a game, never missed you needing me. I turned to the group. I'm not here for sympathy, but I won't be erased. Cynthia tried to regain composure. Daniel's been living with his father and me since he was 17. We've supported him through college and med school. Supported him? I couldn't help the bitter laugh that escaped. With what? The money I sent each month? The loans I'm still paying off? Daniel's gaze dropped. A flicker of guilt crossed his face. Mom, please, he murmured. A young man beside him, a friend I guessed, spoke gently. I'm James, Daniel's roommate. He's talked about you, about your sacrifices. I stared at Daniel. Is that true? He nodded without looking up. Late at night. I told him everything. Then why? I whispered. Why pretend I didn't exist? Why make her your mother? Daniel closed his eyes because I was ashamed. The words struck harder than I expected. Ashamed. Of me? No, he said quickly. Ashamed of where I came from. The tiny apartment, your jobs, everything that made me feel small. These people, he gestured around us, their parents are surgeons, CEOs. I wanted to fit in. So you borrowed someone else's life, I said quietly. He swallowed. Dad introduced me to Robert and Cynthia. They gave me a room in their house, helped me network, even paid for some expenses. It was easier than our life. I got swept up. I nodded slowly, the sting settling deeper. I understand wanting to escape, Daniel. I wanted to escape too, but I never wanted to escape being your mother. That's the one thing I never regretted. Tears welled in his eyes. I didn't want to lose their support, or yours, so I tried to live both lives, but they collided today. I reached into my purse and pulled out an old piece of folded paper. Do you remember this? He gasped. The drawing. A stick figure in a white coat scribbled in crayon. Above it, his 9-year-old handwriting. When I'm a doctor, I will buy my mom a big house so she doesn't have to work anymore. I kept it, I said. It got me through the hardest days. Daniel covered his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. His friends had quietly stepped back, giving us space. Cynthia stood nearby, her confidence cracked. Why didn't you tell me? I asked gently. I was protecting you, he said. But really, I was protecting the image of who I wanted to be. I looked at him, my boy in a graduation gown, wrapped in guilt and confusion, and somehow I still saw love beneath it all. That night, Robert and Cynthia invited us to dinner at their home in Charleston. I didn't know what to expect. A confrontation? A farewell? I only knew this. Daniel and I had to face it together. Their estate was like something out of a magazine. Manicured lawns, marble steps, and a chandelier that shimmered like starlight. I felt out of place as we walked up the steps, dressed in my best blouse and second best shoes. But I straightened my shoulders, took Daniel's hand, and reminded myself why I was there. Not for comfort, not for approval, but for truth. Cynthia opened the door herself. She greeted us with a softness I hadn't expected. "Please come in," she said, guiding us to a cozy sunroom rather than the formal dining hall. Robert waited with a bottle of wine and 4 glasses. "We thought this might feel more comfortable," Cynthia said, gesturing for us to sit. I appreciated the effort. Robert cleared his throat. "Before we begin, I want you both to know we're hurt by what happened, yes, but we also understand that Daniel was young and under a lot of influence." Daniel nodded, his face solemn. "That doesn't excuse what I did, but I want to tell the whole truth." And he did. For nearly an hour, Daniel laid everything bare. How Mark, his father, reappeared when he was 17, full of grand promises and empty words. How he manipulated Daniel into asking Robert for money. Money that went not toward tuition or books, but toward his gambling debts. How Mark convinced him to present me as unstable, unfit, barely present. I added what I could. The missing details. The years before anyone else knew Daniel's name. Cynthia looked stricken. All these years, I thought we were helping a gifted student build a better future. I had no idea we were part of this. "Not everything was a lie," Daniel said quickly. "The respect I have for you, the gratitude, that's real. You gave me hope when I was lost, but it came at the cost of the person who gave me everything from the beginning." Before anyone could respond, the doorbell rang. The housekeeper entered moments later. "Mr. Thompson, there's a man at the door, says he's Daniel's father, insists on seeing you." My chest tightened. I didn't have to ask. It was Mark. He walked into the sunroom like he owned it, wearing a rumpled suit and a smirk. "Well, look at this. A family reunion." Robert's voice was steel. "She's here because she's Daniel's real mother, in every way that matters." Mark scoffed. "Don't believe everything she tells you. I left because she betrayed me. She had an affair with my best friend." I didn't flinch. "Not anymore. I did meet someone after you left," I said quietly. "But we were already separated. You disappeared for 3 months with no word, no money. Thomas was kind. He helped me. I loved him. But when you came back and threatened to take Daniel from me, I let him go, for my son." Daniel turned to me. "You chose me. I always did." Robert stepped in. "Mark, it's time you left. Or would you rather we call the police?" "You'll regret this." Mark spat at Daniel. "The only thing I regret," Daniel said, "is letting you into my life again." And just like that, the door closed behind Mark. For good. We sat in the quiet that followed. It felt like something had been cut loose. A shadow we didn't know we'd been living under had finally lifted. Robert spoke first. "We'll pursue legal action. That money, what he took, it can't go unanswered." Then Cynthia turned to me. "Linda, I never meant to replace you. I only wanted to help. I'm sorry if I ever made you feel otherwise. You helped him when I couldn't," I said. "That matters to me more than pride." "From now on," Robert added, "everything's above board. No more secrets. And no more hiding your mother," he said to Daniel with a small smile. Daniel reached for my hand. "Can you ever forgive me?" "I already have," I said. "But forgiveness means we start fresh. We rebuild." That night, we talked long after dinner ended. We began something new. Not perfect, not easy, but honest. And in that there was hope. A kind of quiet redemption. The truth had finally come, and with it, the first real peace in years. 3 months later, I stood in the bright, bustling lobby of Riverside Community Hospital, my heart full in a way I hadn't felt in years. I had accepted Cynthia's job offer at her nonprofit foundation, coordinating volunteer programs for clinics in underserved communities. It wasn't just a job, it was purpose. It was recognition. That day marked the grand opening of a new clinic, a project I had helped build from the ground up. I checked the clock and smiled as the doors swung open. Daniel walked in, dressed in his white coat, the name Dr. Daniel Parker embroidered neatly on the pocket. My last name, his choice. A quiet, powerful tribute. "Sorry I'm late," he said, hugging me. "Is everyone here?" I nodded toward the corner where Robert and Cynthia chatted with hospital staff. "Just arrived." As we walked together, side by side, I thought of how far we'd come. From late nights folding laundry in our one-bedroom apartment to standing in a hospital we helped create. The truth had been painful, yes, but in that pain, we found clarity, healing. When the cameras turned to capture the moment, Cynthia stepped aside and said with pride, "Here they are, mother and son, the powerhouse behind this clinic." Daniel put his arm around me, smiling without hesitation. "Everyone, this is my mother, Linda Parker. Everything I am today, I owe to her." This time, no one questioned who I was. I spent 65 years learning that life doesn't always give you what you want. Sometimes it gives you heartbreak and betrayal. But sometimes, if you're strong enough to face the truth, it gives you something better: love, respect, redemption. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Life Stories for more powerful real life journeys. See you in the next video.